Happy Monday, everybody. All right, this week I want to talk about wealth and look at the philosophy behind it. And actually, this is tied to what we saw last week. Greg was mentioning this in his video, and that was the one-day drop in the price of gold and silver. And actually, it reminded me of a friend of mine who's a pilot, and he said that being a pilot, an airline pilot, is the most boring job in the world except for about 45 seconds when it's the most exciting job in the world. And that's kind of the way last week felt. All of a sudden, it's like, what in the world happened? And but everything is good and everything's okay. So that got me thinking about the difference between wealth and being rich. And we've talked about this, and Greg actually has dug into this, the different types of wealth. You've got First, you got financial wealth, which is what most people think of. But within financial wealth, there's wealth that man makes and wealth that God makes. And then there's other types of wealth. You've got health, which is wealth. You've got spiritual wealth. And with spiritual wealth, I'll give some examples. Jesus was often talking about the Pharisees and the Sadducees and how they made a big display of their spirituality, but that's not what's important. In contrast, he pointed out the widow who gave her mites, and she was almost ashamed of it because it was such a little amount. But her relationship with God, which was very personal, is what it's all about. And that's what I think most people are striving for, but the world can confuse you with outward displays. When it comes to health, you hear stories about professional wrestlers or bodybuilders who they may look really they're really strong and they can do backflips and they're jumping around in the ring, and then all of a sudden they have a heart attack because on the outside they look healthy maybe, but on the inside they're not healthy at all. Family wealth, this is so important. But when you're looking on social media, you'll see, or TV, you'll see these images of these perfect families, and they've got the camera on them, and everybody's joking around, and everybody's happy. And then you'll hear these horrible news stories about how the parents are really just complete horrible parents, and the kids don't speak to them anymore, and it was all a facade. Meanwhile, you've got families who just gather around the dinner table and have good conversations and they don't make a big display about it. And that's real family wealth. Well, now let's talk about money. It's a similar principle. When you see people with glitzy clothes or homes or cars or jewelry, you think that they're wealthy. And this is really prevalent on social media and the news and TV. You'll see NBA stars or NFL stars, sports stars who spend just tons of money, and you think that they're wealthy. Well, they definitely make a lot of money. You've got to make money to be able to spend money, or go into debt to spend money, but that doesn't equate to wealth. Wealth is what you don't see. It's like it's what's not on social media. Wealth is the stuff you don't see, and that takes discipline. It takes discipline to not spend money that you've earned on things that may look good to other people, but they don't build wealth. Wealth is growth, and it creates strength, and it's there for you, just like physical health. If you get sick, wealth, physical health helps you recover quicker. Same with financial wealth. Um, and so what we saw this last week, and I just want to commend our clients who actually called in, and they would say, "Hey, I noticed that we saw a dip in the portfolio, but we know that we're on the right track." And that's exactly the case, because Greg and my goal is to help our clients build wealth, long lasting wealth that, you're not out displaying it. It's not for the world to see. It's things that the world doesn't see. And there's a important difference there. So this last week just kind of got me thinking about it and wanted to share it with y'all. So you all have a great week. See you next week. Bye-bye.